I got into the highest ranked public university in the United States as of 2025, UCLA. Most people you'll find at the school are incredibly smart, were valedictorians, they started nonprofit organizations, and they just had straight A's in all their years of high school, etc. But what if I told you that most of these things aren't actually needed to get into a top public university? In fact, you don't even need perfect grades. That's exactly how it happened for me, especially in my second year of high school. I nearly failed a class, barely scraping a C-. I had no extracurriculars to my name, hardly any ambition, and I wasn't even sure what I wanted to be when I grew up. I told my counselor my plans for college, saying I wanted to be a doctor or something, and she ended up recommending me the local university. Nothing wrong with it, but I feel like that's where everyone wanted to go, and it was just kind of like the highest bar set for everyone, especially me. I wasn't ranked too high in my school coming into my third year. I didn't even break the top 50, and my school wasn't huge either. So this was as average as you can get for someone who had just wanted to do well and go to college later, and not setting the goal as, oh, I want to go to my top school, and it's going to be the best one of its kind in the US. I ended up doing a little better in my first semester, getting some A's and B's, no C's this time. Still, no extracurriculars, no sports, no leadership positions, nothing. I moved up the ranks, yeah, since I was actually somewhat locked in now. Then came the slap in the face, the thing that really set me apart from the top of my class and being just like everyone else. At my school, we had this thing called the Honor Guard, and it kind of sounds like some Clash Royale bullshit, but it was basically made up of the top 20 third years. If you were one of them, you gotta attend some graduation with that year's class of seniors, and you also gotta walk out with these special different colored graduation caps and gowns. I didn't make Honor Guard, but I was friends with most of the people who were. In fact, they were some of my closest friends, but I wasn't in the top 20. I was ranked 25. I remember the day that I realized this shit too. I was in pre-calculus and all my friends were in that class with me. Then, somebody came into the room and passed them all a little sheet of paper that basically invited them to a special lunch with the principal or some shit, and then, basically confirming that they were part of the Honor Guard. I know I said that I had no ambition, but yo, this shit killed me. I'm not even 100% sure why either. I didn't really know what Honor Guard was before that day anyways, but I still felt upset and just honestly not happy to not be a part of it. I was getting FOMO. I wanted to go to that graduation ceremony and that lunch, especially the lunch. But I also just wanted to be a part of the top 20 and being known that I was at the top of my class. Because now, everyone that was in that, they were just looked at like, damn, they're really going to be something crazy when they grow up. Look at these top 20 peoples, But these were also people I was just chill with. People I could have easily been going to that with. If I just put a little more effort, maybe one more A in my first semester, literally anything to get me into that 20th spot. Now it was low-key driving me crazy. I would tell myself, man, I could have done that. No way their grades were that good. They didn't even seem that locked in all the time. Now I kind of wanted to prove to myself that I could be just like them. Sure, nobody directly told me that I couldn't do it. I wasn't bullied like that, bro. But I was more just trying to prove to myself that I could just stop being pissy about it. Like, yeah, sure, I didn't make it into the top 20, but I got into a school that none of them did, just to prove to myself that it didn't really matter and it was just a label. Again, no hate to those who were actually in Honor Guard because I'm sure that they deserved it, but I was just salty and I wanted to do something that would force me to stop beating myself up about it. Especially since I was raised with the whole mentality that, I had to be a part of these things no matter what. Like, it came as second nature to me. I was going to be the top of my class by default. So maybe that's why it hit me so hard as it did, and I was just quote unquote one of the gifted kids that was left out of the other group of the gifted kids. I know it wasn't really that deep, bro. Y'all can stop calling me a cornball and hear me out. That's about when I started looking around for internships. I wanted a job pretty badly during my summer between my junior and senior years, but I didn't think it was going to cut it if I was just going to add some basic work experience into my college applications. Like, I highly doubt UCLA was going to give a shit if I was making footlongs or flipping Krabby Patties at the local burger joint. I didn't show them that I had passion for anything. If I wanted to be a doctor, I had to do doctor shit. I had to just work in a hospital or something, so that's what I ended up doing. I applied for my local hospital's internship program, I did the interviews and all, and I got hired for the summer. Now I actually had something that stuck out. I didn't hear about anyone else doing this, just me. After summer was over and it was my fourth and final year of high school, I kept up the grades that I had from the previous year. You would think that having good grades like straight A's or A's and B's in the last year of high school would be too late, right? Like, I was supposed to maintain that throughout high school. You probably would also think that I was supposed to take the SAT right, because yeah, it is a pretty valid thing to assume that most kids who got into UCLA had a near perfect SAT or ACT scores. Well, I took the SAT twice, and I did terribly the first time. And you know what? I took it a second time, and guess what? I did even worse. Yo, I was not the smartest dude in the school. Let me make that very clear. I think I am a smart dude in general, but I don't think I fit the stereotype as a student who aced every single test in every single class. Bro, I just got by doing homework assignments alone and doing good enough on tests where I didn't completely fail them. Like, I don't think I actually got a score above 70% on any of my US history or econ tests ever. Especially not any of my math tests either. I don't even think I passed any of them. I wouldn't recommend doing this exact thing though. Definitely pass your classes, y'all, and try to do good enough to get an A. At least the bare minimum to get there. Obviously, grades aren't the only thing that would get you into the #1 public school though. You need to show a clear and obvious passion for something specific. For me, that was cardiology. But for you guys, that could be literally whatever the hell you want it to be. And most people probably won't tell you this, but you don't even need to be completely confident in that passion. If you haven't figured it out yet, just make that shit up. Most people don't have their plans figured out by the time they're a college freshman. So making up a passion to revolve your entire application on isn't even that crazy. That goes to my next thing. All of your extracurriculars and essays need to connect somehow to that passion. For me, my internship was in the cardiology department of my local hospital. So yeah, that worked out. It was an easy essay to write about. Let me emphasize that again though. You need passion, and it needs to be about something specific. Something that other people generally just wouldn't think of. It needs to be personal to you. You can say that you want to be an engineer or a teacher or whatever, but the reason for it has to deadass be because you heard a lyric from a niche underground indie band once and it spoke to you. Like, it just spoke to your soul, and you're going to write about that. And you got to be able to talk about that comfortably. I feel like this is what people tend to not tell you. They usually just tell you that you need the grades to, get you there, and then you need to start some research or get the craziest, most breathtaking letters of rec imaginable. This is bullshit. You also don't need an insane SAT score, or at least for UCLA. I can't really speak for every school on that one though. You need to be that niche underground band that nobody knows. Be weirdly specific for why you want to be the thing that you want to be. Ever heard of that girl who got into Harvard or something by writing an essay on why she hated the letter S because it represented plurals and she only had one parent and not parents as in plural? I think that's what it was about, but that's basically the premise of it. That's probably the most weirdly specific thing to write about, and now she's in Harvard. Stay with me now. I saw another story of someone who wrote about their love for Costco, and somehow it just related to what they wanted to do in life. Just make sure it all ends up connecting to what you actually want to have a career in. Don't write about your love for the smell of gasoline with like zero context or connection to anything. Finally, yes, I did end up scraping together some extracurriculars in my final year, just in time before I had to apply to college. For those who haven't watched my last few videos on that, basically I created my own medical club in my school, and then I read for leadership positions in other clubs. You can probably make a club about just about anything though. It doesn't have to be anything crazy like, finding the cure of cancer or Ebola or something. Well, I don't know if there's a cure for that yet, but you could just make it about anything, and it wasn't really that hard to do at my school at least. And hey, I can also say I never founded one of those non-profit organizations that people tell you to try doing. In case y'all didn't know, deadass anything can be a non-profit organization. It's so easy to make a couple infographics, post them on social media under your organization name, and then just call it that, a non-profit organization. I mean, yeah, you made that shit yourself, and your ass is not making money from that, and yes, it is a non-profit organization. Of course, bonus points if you actually went out of your way and found ways to do some kind of volunteering work related to it. It makes it a lot easier to talk about and a lot more, credible. So in the end, let's really think about what got me into the best public school in the nation, and how you could do the exact same thing. You do not need a 6.7 GPA. Whoever told you that and told you that you needed a perfect GPA lied to you. A lot of people here probably did have that GPA, and a lot of them were also valedictorians. But I didn't even crack the top 20. You also don't need a perfect SAT or ACT score. I didn't even put them on my application. What you do need is to take actual hard classes if your school offers them, and then you also want to do well in them. That's non-negotiable. Yes, I know I said that you don't need a perfect GPA, but you want to at least have a high GPA, You want to be competitive, but you don't need to be perfect. You do need involvement though, in something. But you don't really need to be a violin prodigy for 8 years. Finally, for everything that you do it for a good reason. Do it because you have a passion in something that connects to it. Or at least do it because you like it. It makes it so much more believable when you actually got to sit down and write about it. But yeah guys, you don't need to be at the top of your class. You don't need to be a perfect student. I was average as shit for most of high school. All I wanted to do was prove to myself that I didn't have to be these things to go somewhere labeled as quote unquote the best. Just so I could stop being salty about it. And damn right I was. I proved myself right. That's it for that, y'all. Drop a like and sub. I basically told y'all how to get into UCLA for free, so I don't see why not. You also watched at this point in the video, so I don't know what else could be a better use of your time now. Might as well, right? Alright, y'all. See ya.